Have you ever tried to talk about your life in English and suddenly your mind goes blank?
You know your story. You know your dreams. But when it's time to speak, you're not sure how to explain your life clearly, naturally, and confidently. Maybe you start a sentence, then stop, then change your words, and it just doesn't sound the way you want.
If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. In today's conversation, you're going to practice exactly that: how to talk about your life, your daily reality, and most importantly, the dreams you are already living.
This is not about perfect grammar. This is about speaking naturally, expressing yourself clearly, and feeling confident when you talk about who you are and where you're going.
By the end of this video, you'll feel more comfortable sharing your story in English, whether you're talking to a friend, a coworker, or someone new. My name is Anna.
And I'm Leo. We're really happy you're here practicing with us today. If you enjoy these real-life English conversations, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the English Talk channel. All right, let's get into today's conversation.
You know, Leo, I was thinking about something this morning. It's a simple question, but it's actually not that easy to answer.
All right, now I'm curious. What's the question?
Are you living your dream right now?
That's a good one. Not just dreaming about it, but actually living it?
Exactly. Not something in the future, not one day. I mean today, in your real life.
I see what you mean. That's a deeper question than it sounds at first. Let me think for a second.
Take your time.
Okay, I wouldn't say everything in my life is exactly how I imagined it years ago, but at the same time, I think I am living part of my dream.
That's interesting. What part of your dream are you already living?
Well, for one, I'm doing work that I actually enjoy. I get to communicate, help people, and express ideas. That was always important to me.
That makes sense. So it's not just about success or money, it's about how you feel doing what you do.
Right, exactly. For me, one of my biggest dreams was to feel a sense of purpose in my daily life.
Sense of purpose. That's a really useful phrase. It means feeling that what you do has meaning, that it matters.
Yes, and I think that's something many people are looking for, even if they don't always say it directly.
I agree. So besides work, what else makes you feel like you're living your dream?
I'd say my lifestyle. It's not perfect, but I have time to learn, grow, and take care of myself. I'm not rushing all the time anymore.
That's actually a big change for a lot of people. Slowing down can feel like progress.
Exactly. Before, I used to think success meant being busy all the time. Now, I see it differently.
How do you see it now?
Now I think success is having balance, being productive, but also having space to breathe.
That sounds much healthier.
What about you, Anna? Do you feel like you're living your dream?
In some ways, yes, and in other ways, I'm still building it.
That sounds honest. What part are you already living?
I always wanted to help people feel more confident when they speak English, and now I get to do that every day.
That's true, and you're very good at it.
I appreciate that. It really means a lot to me. And honestly, when I see someone improve, even a little, it makes everything worth it.
So that's your sense of purpose too.
Exactly. It gives meaning to what I do.
And what part are you still building?
I'd say freedom, more flexibility in my time and where I live.
I understand. That's a common goal.
Yes, I want to be able to choose my schedule more freely, travel, and still do meaningful work.
So it's not about escaping work, it's about designing your life.
Exactly. That's a great way to say it.
Designing your life means intentionally choosing how you want to live instead of just reacting to things.
That's a really powerful idea.
Can I ask you something?
Of course.
When did you realize that you were already living part of your dream?
That's a good question. I think it happened gradually, not all at once.
Can you explain what you mean by gradually?
Sure. Gradually means slowly, step by step over time, not suddenly.
Got it. That makes sense.
So for me, it wasn't one big moment. It was many small moments where I realized, oh, this is what I wanted.
I like that. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet.
Exactly, like finishing a lesson and feeling proud, or getting a message from someone saying, "This helped me."
Those small moments add up.
They really do.
I think many people are waiting for a big sign that they've made it.
Yes, but in reality, it's often already happening, just in smaller ways.
That's true. Let me ask you something else.
Go ahead.
Do you think people sometimes don't realize they're living their dream?
Absolutely. I think it happens all the time.
Why do you think that is?
Because they're focused on what's missing instead of what's already there.
That's very true.
For example, someone might say, "I'll be happy when I get that job," or when I move, or when I earn more money.
But they don't notice what they've already achieved.
Exactly. And that can make them feel stuck, even when they're actually progressing.
That's a really important point.
What about you? Do you ever feel like that?
Sometimes, yes, I catch myself thinking, I'm not there yet.
And then?
Then I remind myself to look at how far I've come. That helps me reset my mindset.
Reset your mindset. That's a great phrase.
It means changing the way you think about something, especially when your thoughts aren't helping you.
That's very useful, especially when learning a language.
Definitely. Progress in English is also gradual.
Exactly. You don't wake up one day suddenly fluent. It builds over time,
Just like dreams.
just like dreams.
Can I ask you something a bit more personal?
Sure.
What does your ideal life look like in the future?
Let me think for a second.
Take your time.
Okay, I imagine a life where I can work from different places, maybe spend part of the year near the ocean, and continue teaching in a way that feels natural and meaningful.
That sounds peaceful.
Yes, peaceful and balanced. That's important to me.
Do you think you're close to that?
Closer than before. Not completely there, but definitely moving in that direction.
That's encouraging.
What about you? What does your ideal future look like?
For me, it's similar in some ways. I want to keep growing, learning, and building something that helps people, but also have more freedom with my time.
Freedom seems to be a common theme.
Yes, but not just freedom to do nothing, freedom to choose.
That's a big difference.
Exactly. And also, I want to feel proud of the life I'm creating, not just busy living it.
That's a powerful way to say it.
Thanks. Talking about this makes me realize something.
What is it?
I think we often underestimate what we've already built.
I agree. We focus so much on the next step that we forget to appreciate the current one.
And that can affect our motivation.
Exactly. If you don't recognize your progress, it's harder to stay motivated.
That's true, especially for English learners.
Yes, sometimes you feel like you're not improving, but in reality, you're understanding more, speaking more, and thinking faster.
It just takes time to notice.
Right.
So maybe the question isn't just, are you living your dream?
What would you change it to?
Maybe something like, what part of your dream are you already living?
I really like that.
It feels more realistic and more encouraging.
Yes, because almost everyone is living some part of their dream, even if it's small.
And small doesn't mean unimportant.
Not at all.
Before we finish, I want to ask you one last thing.
Okay.
If someone feels stuck, like they're not living their dream at all, what would you say to them?
I would say start small. Focus on one thing you can change or improve.
That sounds practical.
And also be patient with yourself. Real change takes time.
That's important.
And don't be afraid to speak, even if your English isn't perfect. Communication is more important than perfection.
That's a great reminder.
What about you? What would you say?
I'd say, don't wait for the perfect moment. Start where you are, with what you have.
That's powerful.
Because action creates clarity. Once you start moving, things become clearer.
I completely agree.
And sometimes you realize you were already closer than you thought.
Exactly.
And that brings us to the end of today's conversation.
We hope this helped you feel more confident talking about your life, your goals, and the dreams you're already living.
Remember, you don't need perfect English to express meaningful ideas. Speak clearly, take your time, and trust your progress.
If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the English Talk channel.
Keep practicing, keep growing, and most importantly, keep speaking.
We'll see you in the next video.
Goodbye, and take care.